Not long ago, I was skating a park with a friend of mine. It was kind of off the beaten path in New Jersey. It was the middle of the day on a Tuesday and it was extremely hot. Despite the heat, we made our best efforts to get a skate in because, amongst other reasons, my friend and I had not seen each other in about 10 years. At some point, I got worn out skating and sat down on a bench at the height of the park. As I sat there sipping a drink or something, I looked to my left and I see an unassuming older man walking down the dirt path that led to the park entrance. He was holding a skateboard under his arm. When I looked his way, I heard his voice say, "Where's the entrance?" I laughed because the place was fenced in on all sides like a prison yard, with a small opening on the opposite side of where you were allowed to park. They always like to make it easy for us skateboarders. "It's all the way over there," I said, and pointed to the entrance. He laughed and shook his head. At this point, it still hadn't dawned on me who this man was. I thought maybe a local legend coming by on his day off to blow off steam, a dad learning to skate again, any of the many types of common skate people you see at the park. As he came through the entrance, his face started to become clearer, and as he threw his board down and began to push, to my brain this one fact became inescapable. I was looking at Gino Iannucci. They say do not meet your heroes. I would say the opposite is true when it comes to Gino. I was shitting my pants, and he managed to make it one of the coolest experiences I've ever had meeting an accomplished skateboarder. Great guy. That was just a short side story. The real point here is that, in my opinion, Gino is one of the greatest skateboarders of all time. His innovation in the early 90s was unmatched, and I believe his love for skateboarding bleeds through in everything that he does. These are the type of skaters that will make you feel the essence of the lifestyle through their video parts and interviews. Gino's philosophy throughout his career has been less is more, and I believe that this philosophy works for him. Some of my personal favorite video parts that he's had are 101 Snuff, released in 1993, Chocolate's The Chocolate Tour from 1999, World Industries 20-Shot Sequence, released in 1994, and the Trilogy video from World Industries, Blind, and 101, released in 1996. Gino definitely has a handful more parts than this. These are just some of my favorites. I'll probably take a deeper dive on these in another video. My personal favorite tricks that Gino does a lot are his high-speed frontside nose slides, his switch flips, his nose grind 180 outs, and his backside 360s. At 51 years old, he's still out there skating and helping the younger generation learn what it means to be a skateboarder. Style is everything. Thanks, Gino. Next up on my favorite skater list, we have Tom Penny. Tom Penny is almost certainly your favorite skater's favorite skater. Well known in skateboarding since the early 90s, Tom, like Gino, embodies what it means to be a street skateboarder. Tom Penny comes from the UK and has one of the most unique and effortless styles to ever grace four wheels. Tom's carefree attitude, his low-key nature, and unique and subtle trick selection make him one of the most emulated and respected skateboarders of all time. Some of my personal favorite video parts of his include, but are not limited to, Flip Skateboards' Sorry, released in 2002, Menik Madi from S Footwear, released in 2000, and Flip Skateboard's Really Sorry, released in 2003. Some of the tricks I see Tom do regularly that I really enjoy are his 360 flips, his nose slide shove outs, and his phenomenal switch frontside flips. At 47 years fun, Tom Penny is still out there in the streets ripping with the best of them. Long live the legend of Tom Penny. To many skateboarders, PJ Ladd is already considered one of the best skateboarders to ever live. At only 42 years old, he has already attained legendary status in the skate community, and for good reason. His switch and nollie skills on flat ground still go mostly unmatched to this day. Hailing from Massachusetts, PJ Ladd had his breakout part in the Coliseum skate video named after him. Released in 2001, PJ Ladd's Wonderful Horrible Life still holds up today as one of the best skate videos ever made. PJ Ladd's technical skill at a very young age shined brightly here in this part. It sent a message to the rest of the skate world that it was time to step our game up. His other major video part, and a personal favorite of mine, is his part from 2003's Really Sorry, released by Flip Skateboards. This part is particularly interesting and unique to me, as it is one of the only parts that I know of as a full skate part to feature no music. Just the sounds of skating. Pretty cool. And although it may seem like it, the choice to use no music in this part was not some broody artistic choice as some of us might have assumed at the time of the video's release. Rather, according to PJ, it was based on the fact that up until the very end of the filming period for Really Sorry, PJ believed that he would not have enough footage to warrant a full part. And with that being the case, he wouldn't be responsible for choosing a song. It turned out at the end of filming that they did have a full part's worth of footage, but for some reason, the part still never received the backing track. Whatever the reason was, the part goes down in history as one of the most memorable of all time. Currently and thankfully, PJ still has a large following to this day due to YouTube and Instagram exposure. Unfortunately though, his full parts in major video productions, digital or otherwise, are still few and far between. If this is a personal choice, I fully respect it, but would love to see at least one more full part from PJ in my lifetime. As we continue to observe the ever-changing landscape of skate media, we can only hold on to hope that PJ will continue to drop bangers for us to enjoy for years to come. Thanks a lot, PJ. Andrew Reynolds is a name that has slowly become almost as synonymous with skateboarding as Tony Hawk, and despite his major popularity at this point, his story goes way deeper than you may think. Beginning to skateboard in the mid to late 80s, on crudely constructed launch ramps in his driveway, Andrew Reynolds perfected his passion one day at a time. By the early to mid-90s, he was a major part of the formation of Tony Hawk's Birdhouse skateboards as we know it today, and by the late 90s, he was one of the premier pros, next to names like Heath Kirchart and Willie Santos. Most people watching this probably recognize Reynolds from a little game called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This was actually my first exposure to him at around 10 years old. A couple years later, I was sitting at a friend's house after a skate, and his older brother came downstairs and pulled out the holy grail of skate videos, Baker 2G. From the first time I watched this video, it became my favorite of all time. Baker 2G, in my opinion, is what skateboarding is supposed to look like. Raw, gritty, and with a style all its own. Andrew Reynolds' part in Baker 2G is one of the most iconic skate parts of all time. Bangers from front to back, with a great soundtrack, and just a perfect picture of that time in skateboarding. Two of my other favorite Andrew Reynolds parts include his part from Birdhouse Skateboards' The End, released in 1998, and Emerica Footwear's This Is Skateboarding, released in 2003. Reynolds has many other great video parts, and I will most likely cover these in another video. Among the many great tricks that Andrew Reynolds does regularly, my personal favorites stay on the simpler side. Reynolds' kickflips are superb. I also can't get away without mentioning his signature frontside flips, which was definitely the reason you wanted to learn them back in the day if you came up in the early 2000s era as I did. Last but not least, I really enjoy Reynolds' switch frontside 360s. I don't see him pulling them out often, but when he does, it's always mind-blowing. At 46 years old, Reynolds is still out there ripping and influencing the next generation of skaters to be themselves and keep it real. Thanks, Drew. And before I get to my last skater, I would just like to remind anyone watching that this is not a tier list video. I'm not rating any of these skaters. I am merely sharing with everyone 5 skaters that have inspired me over the years, and these guys are all equal in my eyes. Thanks again for listening. Like and subscribe if you would like, as there will be more videos of this nature in the future. Now back to the skaters. Last but certainly not least, we have Chris Jocelyn. After being raised by his grandmother in Hawaiian Gardens, California, Chris found comfort and solace on his skateboard. Slowly working his way up the circuit of local contests and events, his efforts soon got him noticed by Plan B skateboards. With noticeable talent and drive, it was not long until Plan B made the very appropriate decision to turn him pro. Since then, he has never disappointed in any of his parts. Since arriving on the scene, Chris Jocelyn has fortunately dropped numerous legendary skate parts. Some of my favorites include his part in Etney's album video, released in 2018, and his part in Plan B's True, released in 2014. And despite having numerous legit street parts, Chris Joslin is also a huge fixture in the world of contest skating. Competing alongside huge names like Nyjah Huston and Yuto Horigome, Chris has proven himself time and time again with his runs and in best trick. Recently, Chris broke ground and became included in one of the first generations of street skateboarders to compete in the Olympic Games. At this point, there's no telling where his talent can take him next. Some of my personal favorite tricks that Chris does regularly are his 360 flips, his backside big spins, and his hard flips, which are always clean and most likely down something huge. We hope to see Chris Joslin tear it up for years to come. Thanks, Chris. Alright, and that concludes this video on 5 of my favorite skaters. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you like content like this and you enjoy learning about skating, please like and subscribe. It really helps. We will have another video out very soon. Thanks again for watching.